one of the coolest locations you shot in this season?
This season?
Can you tell me?
I can, if I can think of. Oh yeah, absolutely. LaSalle Street.
South Street?
LaSalle Street. All I will say, LaSalle, yeah, like it's like a big major strip here in Chicago downtown. Do you know? Did you guys watch the movie Dark Knight? You know the scene where the truck flips over? That street. So we are on that street, and it's a really kind of eerie, crazy moment during all of this flesh-eating bacteria stuff. And that location and what they did with it was pretty awesome. Yeah, and it was like, and when we were all there, it felt like we were on the set of a major motion picture because it was just such a big endeavor. And we took over blocks and blocks of the street. It was insane. But yeah, that was the best one for sure.
Well, certainly the loss of Otis will not be something that goes away anytime soon. How is everyone kind of coping with it? Because now you're further in the season, but I know it's still kind of lingering. How is the team dealing with that absence? And has Brett's return kind of made things a little bit easier on them?
Yes, to the second question for sure. You know, in one fell swoop, Cruz lost his best friend and his other closest friend, you know, like the two people that he lived with. So he was literally in the first episode completely alone, you know. Obviously Chloe's there, and that's really developing into a far more stable relationship, and I think that that's what you'll see from Cruz as we go forward, is him trying to figure out ways to kind of really hold on to like the last real bond that he has with someone, and taking whatever steps he can to really make that relationship flourish. But yeah, there's no way that you can't, you'll never get by without missing Otis. Like, he was such a huge part of the house, and we'll revisit him in a lot of different ways throughout the year. And you know, I think it's like how any human being suffers a loss. It's like, you know, when someone that's that important to you dies, it kind of hits you in waves. And so it's like there's days where you're kind of living your normal life and it feels like it's okay, and then there's days where the weight of that loss is just too much to bear. And I think that that's what you'll see from not just Cruz, but from a lot of people in the Firehouse.
We talked last week about humor and kind of how it's shifting a little bit.
Yes.
Do you kind of see that continuing as the season is progressing?
I do, yeah. I think, you know, it's interesting, like, it's interesting finding chemistry with actors and seeing what plays, and, you know, a lot of the humor was kind of put on the Crotus shoulders, if you will, over the last couple of years, and now that youthful energy is gone, really, and so it's going to be harder for the writers to do something comedic for someone like Cruz when he's not really in that space anymore. I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of that side of our show from Herman and Kid, and then most recently we've really started to see a lot of really fascinating bond between Gallo and Ritter, actually, and I think that the writers are going to really take advantage of that and start exploring that some more. So I think, you know, that's where you'll get a lot of the comedy, I think, is in like these new guys interacting with these old guys, and how that plays out.
You guys do have the added benefit of having downtime. You know, you're in the Firehouse. Like,
yes.
Med people don't get to be as funny, because I mean, you can be funny with your hand in someone's chest.
That's a perfectly put sentence. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you can try, but that's just mean to the person who is, like, yeah.
Right. You know,
yes.
You guys do have that added benefit where you have the downtime and you guys can do the interaction.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is, you know, the thing that I think sets us apart the most from the other Chicago shows is that we have the potential to have that comedy and that like brevity in our show. And I think it's also great that we happen to be in the middle to kind of help break up all of that drama. But yeah, I think we're uniquely placed, and we're so lucky that we play firefighters. And, you know, I got asked a couple times today if I could be on another show or, you know, be another character who I'd want to be, and it's like, frankly, none. Like, I mean, you know, their entire hour is spent just like languishing over whatever the thing of the week is, you
He does a
know.
lot of running too. That would kill me.
No,
There's not
no,
that.
thank you. And running in like little tiny leather jackets in the middle of February. Like it's like I get to wear my comfy bunker gear, which now after 8 seasons is really molded into my body shape. And I put on just layers of stuff underneath that, and I'm great. Like it's like no thank you with the running and the and then mad with all that jargon. I can't keep any of that stuff straight. Like I really feel like we're in the sweet spot.
You talked about interacting with Upton a little bit in the crossover.
Yes.
Are there like other show characters that you hope future episodes or the mini episode crossovers?
Oh,
that
I
you
have
want to spend time with?
just yesterday. I was reminding Derek that he owes me a scene with Oliver Platt because he made me do something where I went to go mess with like back the Matt Olmstead when he was the showrunner. He made me go say something to him or something, or like go screw with it and mess with him somehow, and I didn't even remember what it was. But I told him, I was like, I'll do this, but I want a scene with Oliver Platt. And he was like, yeah, whatever. And so like literally just yesterday we were at another one of these dinners, and I was like, you still owe me a scene with Oliver Platt. I've always admired him so much, and when you're a bigger guy, when you're a bigger actor, you know, there's very few that you can kind of look up to and idolize, and Oliver is definitely one of those people. So yeah, it would be a real treat to be able to work with him.
Do the other actors try to bargain like that and get to play a scene with somebody else in
You know,
the world?
I don't know. I imagine that it's easier for some of the people higher up on the call sheet. But yeah, I just take advantage when I can and say that, and make the ask, and if it happens, it happens. Like the whole Zumba thing, that was just some random joke at a dinner table across from Dick Wolf, and it was like, and then the next thing I knew, I was doing Zumba on network television, which was kind of unexpected. But yeah, I don't, for the most part, I don't really get myself involved in the story of it all. I know a lot of other actors like to approach the writers and talk through the beats and get the storyline. I was like, I don't necessarily consider that my job. My job is to do what they give me. I say the words that they give me, and I do my best to make that as believable as possible. So I really leave the story up to them, and I just go in and do my job on the day.
Tori had said that there was this season, she has traumatic brain issues right now, and so she was
In
questioning.
real life, yeah.
She was questioning something like, are you sure this is what I would do? Like her character.
Right, yes.
Have you ever had a moment like that? Like, are you sure this is what I would be doing?
A couple of times, yes. There were a couple, there was this one thing a couple of seasons ago where I was super angry at Mouch about something. And I don't even remember what it was, but I know that it involved me not being able to send my brother to college or not be able to afford his move. And I was, so angry and just completely ignoring him, and then I yell at it, and I was like, I don't know that this would ever happen. Mouch is the only one that Cruz has confessed leaving a human being in a building to. Why would you upset that guy? It's like he's got dirt on you that no one else has. But again, humans do stupid things, and I think that sometimes you get so stuck on trying to be the righteous character that you don't allow yourself to go, oh no, but humans make dumb mistakes. And I think that that's kind of what Derek's good at. Derek and the rest of our writing staff are really good at the small idiosyncratic stuff, the things that humans do that they don't want to admit that they do, but they do it. And so it's if you just sit back and you allow yourself to kind of really sit in it, you can make logic out of anything. Quite frankly, it's harder to. Do I smell?
No, I was getting ready to ask you something. I let you
I was going to say, quite frankly, it's harder to do some of the fire sequence stuff, because when you're there with real firefighters and they're going, we would not do that. You go, well, fuck, well, what would you do? But then it was but it just doesn't necessarily play out dramatically the way that you want it to on television, so you do something else, obviously. So yeah, that's a little tougher, frankly, than the words. Your question.
I don't know if this is a spoiler, but
Am I going to live?
that's like they put in there.
I'm here still. I'm still here. Up until now, I'm still filming the show, so I'm still alive. I know that much. But I don't. Was I in an ambulance? I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember. Don't tell anybody, but I'm okay.
Well, there was a little bit of a change at Molly's with ownership.
Yes.
How much is that going to be kind of impacting his time off as maybe things are changing in the bar that maybe Firehouse One isn't entirely thrilled with?
You know, I personally am ecstatic about the change. I think that Mouch and Trudy now having ownership in Molly's is, again, we were talking about the humor. I think a lot of that will translate into very funny moments. And I think it was the right move. And actually, I think on some level, that might have been a little bit of Christian's influence, because he mentioned to Derek at the end of last season, he was like, you know, Mouch and Trudy are rich, and we've never really talked about that. It's like, you know, they got this huge inheritance and they've got all this money.
And they do public service jobs.
Yeah, and they're like, so it's like, why not take advantage of that? And I think that's kind of what sparked the idea for Derek to kind of bring Trudy and Mouch into like owning part of Molly's. So, and I think that's got a lot of mileage. I think it's going to be really funny.